Welcome to a very exciting episode or show that we're doing with you today. I have my mentor, my friend, almost like a dad to me. This guy has taught me everything I know in real estate, and certainly someone that I can confidently say has not only had a major impact in my life and where I've ended up, but also thousands upon thousands of other agents across the country and world. I'm excited to have Mike Ferry on with us. How are you doing today, Mike?
Well, I couldn't be better. Every time I get to talk with Sam, it's a good day. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Sam.
Feeling is mutual. So we were just chatting about how haircuts right now are a challenge and having some fun about it. Some of the agents know that I cut my own hair, but you only get to see the front side. The back side's still a mess. It's like this way. But just want to jump in. Mike, I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you. These are questions that you and I have talked about. These are questions that I'm getting from agents inside of the company, outside of the company. These are things that I know a lot of people want to know. So I wrote down about 8 or 9 questions. And if it's okay, I think we'll ask those, get your opinion, and go from there.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. So the first thing I wrote down is, should we expect a substantial decline in the amount of business being done if this continues for a long period of time?
Well, first of all, I think it is not going to last for a long period of time. It's going to take a while for the world to readjust with the doors of businesses starting to open up and some of the services coming back. And it doesn't matter whether it lasts 15, 30, or 60, 90 days. We will not see a major long-term disaster like we saw from 2007 to 2012. This is not that kind of a situation. The difference, of course, today is, this is one of those crazy things. This virus, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't smell it, and you don't know what's out there. So it's a scary moment in the lives of everybody. So that's why the home isolation is such a critically important thing. But I don't see a big decline. Now, here's what's interesting, Sam, that you should ask that question. Approximately how many agents are in the greater San Diego County area? Approximately, what would you guess?
25,000.
All right, so 25,000. So I would bet today, 24,000 are hiding under the covers, in the closet, and afraid to come out. That is the greatest advantage that all of the agents at Big Block Realty have today. If they're even attempting to do their job, they're going to win. So yes, the overall market may decline, but the productivity of your agent should increase because the number of competitors is decreasing way faster than the number of deals. So this is one of those moments in history where we say, I hate to think that this terrible situation is advantageous. This terrible situation is advantageous to agents that have a strong mindset, good skills, a reasonable schedule to work. So there's a reason why you guys are number 1 in San Diego, because you're doing more business than the rest of the world. That should increase in this market. I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you. I'm excited as well. And, I've been sharing this with our agents. Our production for this month, I went into this, Mike, I told you, I was terrified. I was like, what's going to happen to production?
Yes.
And I was expecting half or 60%. We're probably only down 15%. And that goes to the fact that people that want to buy right now really want to buy. And people that want to sell right now really want to sell. And there's a lot of needs and necessities. So I love hearing that, and I agree. So speaking of schedule, if we want to stay productive, we want to stay in motion, we want to take advantage of the opportunity, so to speak, what kind of schedule should we be following, especially when we're working from home? Like, what should we be doing? What should our schedule look like? Like, what would you say to an agent they should be doing day to day right now?
Well, there's so many big advantages to Big Block Realty and the model that you have offered agents. And one of the advantages is the true independence of working from home. So I think a good portion of your agents, this is not a big change because they've been working for their homes since they joined Big Block. Now you have facilities, you have offices, you have space, but I would say probably 80% of your agents probably are more home-based than a traditional real estate company. But I think the catch is this. they've been working at home, but they were used to having their kids there. The kids were at school. They were used to having their spouse there. The spouse is at work. So all of the dynamics of this home environment have changed. So here's what I'm going to say. I want them to all write down the number 1 hour and 15 minutes. 115. Because I think 8:30 in the morning, okay, your agent brings the family together for 5 minutes and says, I need 1 hour and 15 minutes uninterrupted time to do my job so I can continue to produce for this time the way I have in the past. And at the end of 1 hour and 15 minutes, I'll take 20, 30 minutes to be with the kids, check on the homework, make sure your spouse is comfortable, house is thorough. Then go back and do 1 hour and 15 minutes again. So Sam, how many agents do you guys have? What, like 1,100 agents in the company?
Just about.
Something around that number?
Yes.
Okay, so can you imagine if 1,000 agents at Big Block Realty actually worked 3 hours a day at being productive?
That'd be huge.
The company would double its production. So what I'm asking agents scheduling wise is I don't want them to think they have to be grinding 8 hours a day, because that's not what they're going to do. But if they work 115 minutes times each day, 5 days a week, productivity will actually increase. Because see, the disadvantage of being in an office is the people, the environment, the distractions. The distractions at home are different, no question about it. You know, you're petting the dog, you're feeding the cat, you know, you're making sure the house is clean if you're a woman real estate agent. But it's just a matter of 1 hour and 15 minutes, 3 times a day. Anybody that, if you and I can convince them all to do that, we're going to win. No question.
I love that. And the reality is, you know, you said out of 25,000 agents in San Diego, 24 of them are under the covers. And they're under the covers because, in my opinion, they have the belief in their head that there is no business to be had and there's no business to do. When the reality is it's not the case. I was just talking to a friend in Orange County. He has an office with 400 agents. They're performing almost to the same degree that they were last year at this same time.
Yes.
So I think that it's important to know, if you keep the schedule, you keep the mindset, and you brainwash yourself, because that's what we need to do. You taught me that a lot. Brainwash yourself to do the things that you don't feel like doing. And right now, it's a great opportunity. Like Mike said, the amount of active agents is dropping, but the amount of motivated sellers and buyers is still there. So your chances of succeeding greatly goes up. So the next question I wrote down. Do you anticipate prices will drop as this crisis continues and gets resolved? Like, what should we expect prices to do?
I'm going to say something that some of your agents will not first accept as reality. We've never had a point I've been in real estate since I was 18, I'm 75. That's 50 some years. We've never had a point like this moment in history today where the inventory shortage is an advantage because it stabilizes prices. Okay, it's very basic economics. Sam, I can kid with you about this. You know, I went to 12 years at Catholic school in Orange County. And in 12 years, I got D's in almost every class, because I thought it was because my middle name is David that they were being kind enough to give me my, okay. So in 12 years, I got 1 A in one class one time. And that was in economics, because I was fascinated by economics. But what I learned was this. When there is an abundance of inventory, prices drop. When there's a shortage of inventory, prices remain secure. And what we have today in real estate in California, throughout the nation, is a shortage of inventory. Now, if a property is terribly overpriced, it's going to have to bring the price down. But if you're listing property today, even reasonably priced, you're going to have offers it's going to sell, because the inventory shortage is creating the demand for the market. So I'm excited about the fact that prices are not going to drop as long as the shortage remains what it is. And there's no reason to think the shortage is going to change, because most agents do not know how to list property.
Right.
That makes it so good for the agents of Big Block that know how to list property, because it actually gives you such an advantage today. So I'm not concerned about prices at all. I'm concerned about the mental state of a lot of agents. That's my concern.
I agree. And, you know, someone said this to me, it might have even been you a few weeks ago. He said, what we're going through right now is more like 9/11 as opposed to 2008.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
2008, there was a lot of financial challenges that made the markets do what it did, and housing, et cetera, backed with what happened at 9/11. What we're dealing with right now is more like 9/11 than 2008. And that's why I believe, I agree with Mike, also the chief economist for NAR, pretty much dittos the same thing. I think he said at most we'll see a 5% reduction, which is actually healthy, right?
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. So I love that you have the same perspective. Next question. Since the public is very nervous, justifiably so, we're hearing a lot of people saying this is something they're going to consider doing when the crisis is over. We're going to wait to see what happens, what's going to happen with coronavirus. How would you handle that objection? What would you say to that lead? Like, what's the best way to answer that?
Well, here's what's interesting. In January, people will say, I don't want to do anything until April when the taxes are paid. In April, they say, I don't want to do anything until the kids get out of school. When they get out of school, can't do anything. It's summertime. In September, can't do anything. The kids are going back to school. October, got the holidays. So there's always a story the public is going to tell agents. It's understanding that there's always a story. The new story today, I don't want to do anything until the coronavirus is solved. So it's just another story. So over here, I have bucket A. And bucket A is those people that need to do something now. And that's the people we're going to focus on. But bucket B is the people we're going to have to be more understanding of. We're going to have to be a little more empathetic because of the concern and worry they have. We're going to communicate more with them than ever before. Text, email, calls, conversations, updates in the market, neighborhood reports, market stats. Because, Sam, when that floodgate opens up in 30, 60, 90 days, and those people come in the market, they're going to go to the agent they've had the best communication with.
I totally agree.
All we have to do is communicate with all those leads of people that want to wait. But we have to do it in an empathetic manner. We can't be pushing them and pounding on them because the world is nervous, and it's understandable the world's nervous. I'm not nervous because I never leave the house, okay? I mean, the only time I see anybody besides my wife is when I'm on a Zoom call with people like you, Sam. So I'm not worried about what's going on. But we have to understand the public is. So communicate, and then when they come back, they come to Big Block, which is what we're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. You know, there's going to be so much pent up demand and desire and all these things that people are going to come back, and they're going to come back strong. And to the point that you said, this is what I've been saying to the group. Right now, it is your cadence with your people, with your database, with your clients has never been more important. Just reaching out, being in front of them. They're going to remember that. When this is done and behind them, they're going to remember who was there. And our goal at Big Block is to be the people with the highest, most exciting cadence. Let them know that we're there and we care. And if they're ready to make a decision today, that's a win. And if they're ready to make a decision in 60 days, still a win.
Yeah, as long as they're in communication, that's the key. Absolutely. Thank you.
Totally agree. All right. So next question, knowing that social distancing is going to be around for a while, even when they open up the cities and the states, there's still going to be a degree of social distancing and all these different things that will be the new norm for a while. Who should we be talking to, knowing that social distancing is a thing and it's probably not going to go away for a while?
You know, it's fun, Sam. I can appreciate this. This thing called the cell phone was the enemy of real estate people 60 days ago. Sam, I can't call people. Nobody's home. And, they don't want to talk to me. And I don't like to disturb people and, moan, bitch, and complain. That's what people did for years. This today is our greatest advocate. Why? Because everybody's home. Everybody answers the phone because they're tired of talking to their dog. They're tired of their spouse. They want to have a conversation. So to me, the just listed, just sold phone call is a diamond in the rough today. So Sam, watch this. You and your beautiful wife, not in real estate. Let's take you and make you into a public person, not a real estate agent. You pull out of your house on Saturday morning to go to the shopping center. You see a Big Block Realty sign. the conversation in the car is always the same. I wonder what it's selling for. I'll bet it's not as nice as ours. I bet we could get more than they could get. I wonder where they're moving to. Those conversations don't exist today because they're in their home.
Yeah.
So we're going to be the people that call and share the good news with all the just listed, just sold. We're the one that's going to look like the neighborhood advocate. We're going to be the one that's sharing what's happening in the market. The biggest challenge your agents are facing today is when they get people on the phone, they can't get them off because they're so happy to talk to somebody.
Totally.
Here's the interesting part. Sam, I'm hearing this every day. Mike, I made 20 calls today and I talked to 16 people. 2 months ago, I made 20 calls, I talked to 4.
Yeah.
Today, everybody's answering the phone. So just listed, just sold. Past clients, of course, centers of influence more than ever. And then if they're brave, the for sale by owner and expired, because they really need our help today because they're not getting people physically driving around to the for sale by owner and knocking on their door. So now the need for what we do is the highest it's ever been.
I totally agree. I mean, the for sale by owner is already in a disadvantaged scenario in a normal market.
Very much.
They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to win. They're just trying to save a couple bucks. Right now, they need us more than they've ever needed us.
Absolutely.
And another thought as well, just to kind of piggyback what you were saying, I think the idea of if I'm not in real estate, and even people that are in real estate right now think that real estate is halted, it's stopped, nothing's happening because they make that assumption, to just call with the update of, hey, just want to let you know, there's X amount of new listings, which is only 10% off from the normal market. There's X amount of pendings, which is only this percentage off of what it was a couple months ago, giving them that confidence and that understanding, because we know that the news is only going to scare them to death.
That's right.
Something I always hear you say is be the calming force of the transaction.
Yes.
I think right now we need to be the calming force of the mind for our people. We need to let them know that, things are still moving. Yes, restaurants are closed. Yes, this, that, and the other. Yes, Sam is cutting his hair sideways because he has to cut his hair himself. But transactions are moving. And right now the demand is high enough that it's still a great time to be a buyer or a seller.
Sam, I want to share something. Last Saturday, I got a phone call on my cell phone here at the house from a great agent here in town who is a great customer of ours and a 50 deal a year producer. So that's a really good agent. And she calls and she said, Mike, can I give you a market update? I said, of course. She goes, well, the number of listings is down 42%. The number of pendings, I said, stop. She goes, Mike, what is it? I said, how many listings did they take in Las Vegas last week? She said, 2,000. I said, why don't you start with, last week we took 2,000 listings here in Las Vegas. Isn't that exciting? Instead of telling me what's wrong, make everything sound positive because it is positive.
Yeah.
2,000 people listed their home. Okay, so that's good news. So we had to change her dialogue. And you just gave a good example of that. So thank you. I said 100%. Give them the good news because there is good news.
I love that. Love that. And there's a lesson there, which is the way you present something says a lot more than the words that you're saying, right? Like
Right.
You got to present it the right way. So next question. In general, I feel like we're becoming as an industry more virtual than we were 5, 10, 15 years ago. Versus face-to-face, and this has only amplified that. So what does this mean for us long-term?
Well, my wife Sabrina and I talk about you a lot because we have a lot of respect for you. And I say that total sincerity, and I hope all your agents understand it. Because you're a young man and you're very dynamic, you and your partner, you've really done something. So you're a topic inside of our home. But I always say to Sabrina, what makes Sam unique? Great personality, and he understands technology. That's a very unusual combination.
Thank you.
Your understanding of what's going on today is better than most. A lot of the brokers that we're working with today are saying things like, how do you spell Zoom? But, well, starts with a Z and ends with an M, okay? Put 2 dimes in the middle, okay? So the technology today is going to be our future. I am convinced, Sam, that in the next 12, 18 months, 50% of all the deals will be done through technology, and just like we're using virtual today. So the challenge will be understanding that 20% of all the deals in America every year are done through virtual transaction. See, the second home, okay, so you're what, 2 hours from Palm Desert, probably from your home?
Yep.
That's the second home market. Those transactions are all done virtually. You're what, 3 hours from Big Bear to go skiing. That's a virtual market. So if you look at the country, a big portion of all transactions have been virtual. Now, virtual meaning phone and fax, a little antiquated. Today, of course, you have Skype, you have FaceTime, you have Zoom, you have DocuSign. But here's the catch. The agents have to learn how to do what you and I are doing right here, because this is up front, close, and personal.
It is.
And it isn't always pretty when we see it, okay? So we have to, now, the role play and practice that an agent does as they start the day has to be done virtually, because they have to get used to being on camera. I've done 84 of these since March 15th, okay? So I'm doing these 6, 7, 8 times a day. That first day, and you could appreciate this because, you know, I'm pretty open with everything with you in our conversations. The first day I did this, I said to Sabrina, that was frightening. She goes, why? I said, honey, when I'm on stage, I have a full-time makeup artist and they paste my face together, okay? And the camera is 600 feet away. I'm sitting in front of Sam. My God, we're right on top of you. He can see my 6 chins, all my wrinkles, my gray hair. This is terrible. And then she said something very important. If your message is strong, they don't care what you look like.
That's the truth.
Okay. So they have to learn to deliver their message this way on camera. If they've ever wanted to be an actor, this is when they learn how to be an actor.
This is the time.
This is the practice they have to start doing. I mean, right now, Sam, when you've done this 84 times, which I have in, 5 weeks, I'm as comfortable now doing this with you as if I was on stage in 4,000 people. And every one of your agents has to get there, because this is the future of the real estate. Sellers and buyers are tired of spending hours and days driving around looking at homes with agents. Gosh, now I can show 6 properties to a buyer in, say, 20 minutes. We can select the 1 or 2 that make the most sense. We can get the appointment set, take them out, show them 2, make a sale instead of showing 6.
You know, that's really sharp because, you know, during this whole conversation, I was only thinking on the listing side. I was thinking, you know, our listing presentations are going to go more virtual, but wow, like what a good idea to pull up the 6, 7 properties that match, go on Zoom, show them the images, talk about the description, see what they like, they don't like, and then only take them to the 1 or 2 that they want to see.
Yeah. We know that sellers are tired of sitting watching an agent blah, 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 blah for hours on end. Now you make a listing presentation in 15 minutes, but you better be prepared because they're looking right at you. And that's why I want them to practice on this type of technology.
I love it.
Thank you.
And my intuition tells me that your chances of succeeding will actually go up in this environment because you're not in their home. The ball's not in their court. I think you'll get less objections. And for those of us that are watching right now, we've been working with Mike Cuevas in the office to put together a complete virtual listing presentation and buyer presentation that you can use in Zoom. So that'll be kind of shared with you guys shortly. All right. Next question. Many people feel that the world and the economy are coming to an end. It's the end of everything. Mike, my question for you is, have you seen something like this before? Has it been worse in the past? Like, give us some of your, I've been in the business for a long time and is the world ending knowledge?
Well, I started, 80 miles north of you in Huntington Beach is where I became an agent. And in 1971, I think the year is right, December of 71, I had 3 escrows close, 2 FHA, 1 conventional. Sam, your agents are not going to believe this, so they have to take this at face value. Interest rates for all 3 buyers was 18.5% on a 30-year fixed loan.
Crazy.
18.5%. 1972, 73, we were closing deals at 21% FHA. We lived through that and we came out fine. Okay. 1987, Black Monday, the biggest stock market crash in the history of our nation. In one day, it almost destroyed the entire economy. We lived through that. I think probably the most difficult time of all of our lives was 2011. On 9/11, when that happened, oh my gosh, we saw two of the most magnificent towers collapse and tens of thousands of people terrified. We made it through that. 2007 to 2012, you guys were just really beginning your real estate careers. That was not fun time. The economy completely collapsed worldwide. 50%, 70% loss of value in terms of homes. Number of transactions dropped from 6.5 million to 3.7 million in less than 12 months. We made it through that. So I guess, Sam, the one thing I would say, and you and I have talked about this personally, the greatest strength of the American people is resiliency. We can get kicked, we can get beat, we can get knocked around, but honest to God, don't get in the way because we're coming back stronger than ever. And that's the advantage we have. We're going to make it through this. We're going to make it through this. But see, they have to start believing in themselves to make that happen. And then if they start taking action, they're going to see the results take place. So
I 100% agree. You know, one of my friends said something and I made a video about it, shared into the group. He said a sentence that really stuck with me, which is, if you think about your entire life in the rear view, every time you've been kicked, every challenge you've had, all the bad things that have ever happened, you have 100% success rate of getting through it.
That's right.
And that really puts it in perspective. Yes, is it scary? Is it, to me, more than the scariest part is the uncertainty. Like, are we going to be able to get out of this house in a week or in 2 months? Or like when can I just go to a bar again? You know, I need answers.
That's right. And that's normal. But you know, Sam, not to bring up a negative because it's a positive, but as we saw this thing escalate, you know, and I'm not analytical from any standpoint, but I'm smart enough to look at numbers. And I said to Sabrina, you know, the sad part about this whole thing, and that is the fact that the news is acting like every one of us is going to die.
Yeah.
And right now, 0.004% of the people that get this particular terrible disease pass away. And I'm willing to bet that half of them are my age, and they probably weren't in good health anyway. And I feel bad for them, and I wish it didn't happen. But we got to get things in perspective here. And the perspective is we have a lot of pent-up desire for home ownership, and our job is to satisfy that desire. Yeah. So it's a great opportunity for all of us.
The media is definitely not being our friend right now. I'll tell you, I haven't watched the news for almost 3 weeks now. I call my dad and I say, Dad, give me the things I need to know, because my dad's watching news like 24/7. Sure. And I feel so much better, even on Facebook. Like, I don't even scroll as much as I used to. I just look at my notifications. I pay attention to what I need to, because I don't need that crap in my head. I don't need all of that negativity. It only makes everything harder.
That's right. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
All right. Last couple questions. I know what your answer is going to be, but I have to ask because I'm getting asked, which is, should agents lower their expectations for the balance of the year?
You know, it's interesting you say that, because one of the people that I love to death is my son, Tom. And my son, Tom, is now saying, throw your business plan in the trash and go with a new plan. And I'm going, wait a minute. We wrote a 1-year business plan in January. Yes, January, February, yahoo. March got shaky. Obviously, April was the brunt of the problem. Now we still have all these months in front of us to succeed. And the competition isn't working. So our chances are better than ever. So I'm going to say this. Do not lower your expectations. Raise your standards. Raise your standards. Raise your expectations of yourself. You know, put stronger standards in place for what you're going to say, what you're going to do. Don't lower your expectations. Let the competition lower their expectations. In fact, let them go right to the floor while you maintain the goals you've set. So here's the fun one, Sam. This year, Worst case scenario, we do 4 million transactions in the US for real estate. Worst case scenario, 8 million commission checks will be distributed on 4 million transactions. So my question for your great agents is this: how many do you want?
Exactly.
I mean, how many do you want? And that's, as soon as they answer that question, now we know, you and I know what we can do to help them make it happen.
And here's some numbers behind that stat. I think last year we did just over 5 million. I want to say 5.3.
Yes, that's correct.
So if we do 4 million this year, that's 1.3 million less, divided by about 1.3 million agents. Let's just say half of them don't produce. So let's say divided by 700,000, that's only 2 less transactions, statistically speaking. But the difference is, since the competition is dropping, your chances of succeeding actually goes up. So for the people that don't participate, yeah, they'll lose out on their 2, but the good news for us is we get to pick them up.
That's right. And here's the good news. We're not going to do 4 million. We're probably going to do 4.4, 4.5. So it's even really better than what we are talking about here. So again, every time there is a problem, there's also an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And even though this problem is a terrible problem, because the worst thing we ever want to see is anybody we know suffer physically, and that's terrible. However, at the same time, most agents are not suffering physically, they're suffering mentally. And if they don't want to work, pat them on the back and go get that business, because it's there for us. So
Totally.
it's an interesting time.
You know, you were kind enough that about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you flew me out to Vegas and you wanted me to do a video with you.
Yes.
Of the top 10 things I learned working with you for like 10 years.
Yes.
And I had a lot of things, and I didn't know what to narrow it down to, but there was the first thing that I wrote down, and the one thing that was the easiest to write down is what I've learned working with you is that the market will never have an effect on my business. Only I can. The market will not determine if I can succeed or not. And I was fortunate that I got in the worst possible time. And I was fortunate that a week into getting into real estate, someone dragged me to a Mike Ferry event. And my whole life was built off of knowing that I got into this at the worst possible place and I won. And the market will never be able to determine my level of success as long as I control my brain and my actions.
Absolutely.
Cool. I think this is the last question I have for you, and then maybe we'll take some questions if you have time. If there is questions, I'll say this. If you have questions, type them in now and I'll go ahead and answer. If Mike has time, I'll answer them. If not, I will ask him on our next call and get you the answers. Last question I have is something that I've really appreciated about you, Mike, is it appears that you have the strongest mindset. Like your brain, your mind, you're so strong. And I don't say that to blow your head up. It's a matter of fact. Like you are tough as nails. You're hard as shit. Your brain is, you got it on straight. So my question is, how do you keep a strong mindset in times like this? And how do you cut out the negativity and the fear that so many are experiencing and putting onto us? Like, how do you control that?
First of all, I've been through worse. So in comparison, this is not hard to deal with. But second, and you know, I've been trained by Earl Nightingale. I've been trained by Mike Vance. I trained by Dr. Gunther Klaus. These are people that had a mindset that made mine look like it was mush. These guys were so strong. And they were my influence all my life. But I want to show you a thought. If you take a 3x5 card and you write the word choice on the 3x5 card, and when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do, and this is what Earl taught me, the first thing you do is you make a choice. How do you want your day to be? Do you want your day to be fun, exciting, and productive? Or do you want to go hide under the covers? So the first thing is the choice. And I made the decision that every day is a good day because, see, Sam, at age 75, you know, I have a choice. Do I want to smell the roses or do I want to push them up? And I'm not interested in pushing them up. So it's a choice, and it's a valid choice we have to make. But second, and I think most importantly, like you, I haven't watched the news in 45 years. I don't have any clue what goes on in most of the outside world, but all the negative people are always welcome to share whatever they have negative thoughts with me. So then, Sam, something that I've learned, and you do it very well, You always have that nice smile. You're always appreciative of the people. So I'm sitting here someplace and a person is negative. So I smile, I nod my head, and I don't listen to one word. The negative. But then little thing. I think that this iPad that we all have access today is golden, because you can go on YouTube today, Earl Nightingale, Dennis Waitley from San Diego, a great author, Wayne Dyer, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, all of these great minds. I go on at least twice a day and I'll watch 10 or 15 minutes of these people. And I'm so inspired. Okay. So read 10 or 15 pages of a good book twice a day. That strengthens your mindset. Make it a conscious choice that it's going to be a good day. And then I have what I call the 5-minute rule. Anytime I'm upset, angry, bad news comes in that I have to worry about, you're emotional, I allow myself 5 minutes. That's it. And in 5 minutes, sorry, time's up. My friend Dick Farrell, I don't think you ever had a chance to meet him. He had a big coal banker company in Lake Arrowhead in Palm Desert. He passed away, unfortunately, way too young. We're playing golf one day at PGA West, and I noticed Dick had a rubber band around his wrist. And all of a sudden, Sam, he snapped the rubber band and went, ouch. Dick, what the heck was that all about? He said, well, I wear this rubber band, and whenever I have a negative thought, whenever I have one, I snap it. Mm-hmm. I said, you're kidding. He said, that keeps me out of the negative thoughts. I said, do you snap it often? He said, not anymore. I said, why? He said, I used to snap it so much I got a blister from the snaps. Okay.
Wow.
You have to find a way to trigger yourself. So I'll give you an example. 8 o'clock every night, because we're home isolated, we're, for years, living in a high rise on the Strip, we went to all the casinos, all the hotels, all the best restaurants. And we did that virtually every day we're in town. So now at 8 o'clock, I turn on Craig Shoemaker, the comedian, Rodney Dangerfield, any one of these great comedians for 10 or 15 minutes. I laugh until I get tears, and that ends the day. So
Smart.
I start with a good choice, and I try to end laughing. And if I really want a good laugh, all I have to think about is some of the dumb things I did that day, which makes me laugh. So,
something that you've taught for a long time is taking 4 15-minute mindset breaks throughout the day. And that's something I've been saying to all of our agents, and I've been doing myself. Just set the reminder in your phone, have the alarm go off every 2-3 hours, and take 15 minutes and just watch a positive video, read a positive book, meditate, do whatever gets your mind in the right place. Do that 4 times a day for 15 minutes, and it's the best hour you can invest in yourself and in your day.
That's right, 100%.
All right, so I have a question here. If I go door to door to talk with my neighbors at this moment, is that a good or a bad idea?
Bad idea. Yeah, do it by phone. Okay.
I agree.
You're doing that out of respect for your neighbors.
Yeah.
You're doing that because you're a health conscious and you want to protect the neighborhood. So do it by phone, because they'll answer their phone before they'll answer their door.
Totally. I don't even like it when the FedEx guy rings my doorbell right now.
I know.
And I ordered that stuff.
I always just tell them, leave it on the doorstep. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's see. What one thing has been the most important thing you have kept in your morning or daily routine?
Oh, by far, the fact that every morning I will look right at that card and it says one word, and that's the word choice. The most important part of my day is making a choice when I get out of bed to do something. And if we can just get into the habit of making a conscious choice, we're going to win.
I love it. I love it. So I have a question for you. I am talking to 2 groups of agents, and it's the same 2 groups you always talk to. Mm-hmm. One group, for instance, Michelle McCormick just posted, me and Martin, her partner, we've been hitting the phones. We're getting way more pickups. It's awesome. This is great. And then I'm hearing other people say, oh, nobody wants to talk. Funny enough, the people that are talking about how awesome the opportunity is are the ones that are winning more often than not.
Yep.
So what would you say to the person that doesn't want to hit the phone because they don't want to feel like they're bothering people, or it's the wrong timing, or insert any excuse here? what would you say to them?
Get a job working in a cemetery because you're dealing with expireds all the time. Okay. I mean, folks, we are in the people, image, and communication business. I mean, you know, I've for 45 years, I've heard, oh, Mike, I can't talk to people. Then why are you in the real estate business? I mean, okay, go ahead and spend 10 grand a month. Go ahead, spend your 10, 15, 20 grand a month, money you don't have, buying leads from Zillow. You still have to call them.
Amen.
Okay, so the choice is either you decide to talk to people or decide to work in the library where you don't have to talk to people. And it's cold, it's brutal, but it's the facts of life. Now, if you want to do 2 or 3 deals a year, you don't have to be a conversationalist, okay? Hold a couple open houses, do a couple of mail outs, and live the life of a poor person. And that's it. But if you're going to live a person that has substantial lifestyle, you got to talk to people. End of conversation. I don't want to hear any more people saying to me, I can't talk to people. Tell somebody that cares, okay? Or as Craig Shoemaker says all the time, Sam, you'll like this. Craig Shoemaker says, look right in here real closely. See anybody that cares? I don't, okay?
Last thought, and then we can break. Speaking of living a substantial life, you've always shared with me some of the awesome things that you've done and accomplished and all that stuff. And I've asked myself, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do so that if this ever happens again, I can go through quarantine in style? And I'm convinced that I need to do whatever it takes, that if this ever happens again, I'm going to float around the ocean in my 200-foot yacht, completely secluded, right? Safe with my family, maybe a few friends. You and Sabrina are invited. And we'll just social distance in style.
That's right. You'll get a kick out of this. And when I say this, some people won't like it, but we have got to know pretty well Andrea Bocelli and his wife, Veronica. We spend time with them in Italy. In September, we were there and we were at their home. And Andrea said, I said, what do you like to do? Well, you know, you're the most famous entertainer in the world, probably the highest paid entertainer in the history of entertainment. He makes so much money, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, $4 to $5 million per performance. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he looked at me and he said, what I like to do is get on my 100-foot yacht and have my captain drive me a mile offshore and just sit and listen to waves. And I went, I am jealous. Okay. The next time I said to him, next time call me. I won't say a word. I'll just sit across the deck from you. Okay.
Yes.
I appreciate what you're saying, but you know, you have to prepare for the future by taking care of what you're doing today.
Yes.
And that's what you and I have to do with all these great agents on this call today. Help them prepare for the future by doing the right thing today. So Sam, I better get off the call because I have another one in about 6 minutes. So first of all, thank you for being a great client. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being an inspirational leader, and keep up the good work. And I get to talk to you in a couple of days on our coaching call, which I look forward to.
Mike, thank you so much. You've been such an impact in my life and so many. Appreciate your time. I'll let you go. Again, thank you a million, and stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll talk soon.